I was 18 years old, I wouldn't have anything else other than Bitcoin, like zero. Whereas if I'm 65, 70, 75, I'm probably maybe like 50% max into Bitcoin, and the rest is in some short term that I can pull from very easily. You want to be very liquid with it, right? And so people, we've talked about this in a couple of videos now, and people are like, well, does stretch work in place of cash because you're earning what, 10 or 11% on that? And it's like, well, kind of, but that kind of defeats the purpose of it, right? Because even stretch, it goes up and down maybe 10, 15%. And you don't really want that. You want something that's just not going to move at all. As much as I hate holding fiat dollars, what you want here is you want full stability, especially if you're that much allocated to Bitcoin, which is a very wild ride. You want some sort of stability in your life. And that's why I think cash makes a lot of sense there. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I would say on that, is just like cash in hand. Physical cash is great. Cash in a bank, if you still have a bank, I'm trying my best to kind of get away from that system, but I got a couple toes in there just because of mortgages, other things going on. I'm still kind of in the fiat world in that sense. So I still do have a bank account. Probably in 5 years, I won't. That's kind of my outlook for the future. I just want to kind of get out of that system fully, but it's not today.
How would you think about stretch? Because of course it has risks, like it has all the risks that Bitcoin has. It has all the risk that strategy has. It has all the additional risks of will they be able to pay the dividends and all of that. And yes, they have not the cash reserve. So like, I don't want to let anyone in the belief that stretch is risk-free 10% rate and that's amazing. It 100% definitely comes with a lot of risks and like 200 more risk factors that I haven't even mentioned. But I personally have high conviction in Bitcoin, very high conviction in Bitcoin. I have a little less, but still high conviction actually in strategy and Michael Saylor and execution that he will, like he's not, it would be very different if he's a new company, but he's around for like the one or the other decade in public markets. And he has the first move advantage and like many other small things. Is stretch maybe like a part of a portfolio where you have some emergency funds that is in local fiat currency? And then there is stretch also as like the extended cash balance, kind of where you earn a higher yield on, but it's more liquid, like you don't, like you can quickly get it out and in, like it's like, at least in, I don't know how it is with you in Canada, but like in Austria, you can just literally, if I don't have stretch, by the way, full disclosure, but if I would to buy it, I could literally sell it now and have it in my bank account within like probably an hour, like maybe even less than
really?
that.
Okay.
Same with Bitcoin. It's super easy and fun if they are opening, like if the opening hours like align, right. You have to like know the opening hours. And so like, it's not exactly as cash, but like I can get it within less than a day in cash. So, and it's like my bank pays me, I think 3% or 2% on cash, which is not good, but like also not bad, but like definitely not 10%. So that's what I'm like also thinking right now of like, what could be stretches? Is that the right word? Stretches, the role of stretch in a portfolio of a high convicted Bitcoiner.
I honestly don't think that it makes sense for somebody who's our age. Just based on this strategy here of like a barbell strategy, I would say that stretch would make sense in the terms of like if we're talking short-term obligations being cash and kind of the long-term moonshot being Bitcoin and strategy. Stretch might kind of fit into the medium place there, but that's kind of the point of the barbell strategy. There's nothing in the medium. It's just you have something short-term and you have something that you have conviction in for the long-term that you believe is going to go up over time and outperform everything else. So to me, I think that it's worth having some cash and then Bitcoin, because I don't really want something sitting in a market for 1-2 years is kind of my medium emergency fund, I would rather just have that in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has a chance one day it could go from 100 to 200 and then 300, and I'm kind of on the sidelines for that. So that's kind of the strategy there, is you just have what you need in the short term, and then everything else is kind of riding on your rocket. But again, I would say this, Robin, which is, if you're somebody who's like, again, 60, 70, 80, maybe it makes a lot more sense to have money in Stretch and then less Bitcoin. But kind of where I am right now, I would rather just have that in Bitcoin, because I do not want to miss out on those days.
That's super interesting. Especially also, I don't know how it is with you, but with my brokerage on strategy there that I use in Austria, they give you 50% loan to value ratio that you can access at any time you want. It's like a basic
line of
feature.
credit.
Yeah, line of credit that everyone gets. Like if you have 100,000 in strategy, you get a 50,000. Like usually a little bit less than that. Usually they give you like maybe 30 or 40,000. I don't have that much, but like or usually if they give you 50%, they actually give you like 40%, just to like be safe. It also depends on how volatile and what stocks. Like there's like a calculation that goes on in the background, but they give you credit. So like if you make the example of hey, I'm a high convicted Bitcoiner, I have a long time horizon, it probably doesn't make sense to put something like Stretch in the portfolio, because you need a cash reserve that actually is cash, and Stretch does not have the same risk factors than cash has. And so the other way around, Stretch has more risk factors than the actual cash has. And then for your upside, you can just have it in Bitcoin or in strategy. And in strategy, for example, you can easily take out something against that if you have some. This is the main also advantage of strategy versus Bitcoin. In Bitcoin, there's just not good providers yet for borrowing against it.
Agreed.
With stocks, it's so common and so now nice. Also, I think my broker offered 6% interest rates on it, and you can pay it back anytime. You can just like lend it anytime. Like you don't have to ask. Like you can get it instant in line of credit. There's nothing comparable with Bitcoin that has like 6% interest rates. There's comparable things for like 12%, but I'm not paying 12%. For me, it has to be under 7, ideally under 5. But like, yeah, that's like what I'm thinking about. Like, why not just like use strategy? And if you really need the cash, you can just take it from the line of credit for short term, because like it's anyway short term. If it's a long term problem, it's a whole different story then.
Yeah, 100%. That strategy makes so much sense to me, and that's kind of what I envision the future is. I'll probably have less cash at that time, and I will have something, whether it's my Bitcoin as collateral or my strategy shares as collateral, and kind of have that as a line of credit there. But again, like you said, we're just not there yet. Like I'm not paying 12% for letting to hold my Bitcoin so I can get some cash. Like it's almost a credit card. Like it's too much, especially considering what Bitcoin is. And, it's, to me, Bitcoin, and for somebody who understands Bitcoin, like the company itself, I feel like the rates should be much lower than they are. And I don't know why they're that high. I think the Bitcoin is the least risky asset that you can hold right now, especially if you start out with a 50% LTV. And I think if it gets to 80, then you get margin called. So there's a 0% chance that Ledn loses in that. I'm using Ledn as an example because they're the best one, I believe, right now that's out there, and they're 12%. So it's like Ledn sells my Bitcoin at 80% of my value to it. They still don't lose, but they're still 12%. So that just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm like, as much as I want to go and use that, we're just not there yet. Like Bitcoin to me should have a lower interest rate than anything else, but it's tough because for somebody who's providing that service to people, it's like, well, why would I hold all this cash? Because if you think about it from Ledn's perspective, they obviously have a huge pool of cash that they can tap into to give their customers. And so all that money that they're holding there in cash or from a third party, I don't know exactly how that works, but that's an opportunity cost to them. And that's kind of where in the future, I'm like, why would anybody give loans off of Bitcoin when they can just hold Bitcoin themselves for a better return than somebody who's paying them a 3, 4, 5% interest rate? So it's interesting to me. I really don't know where this whole thing's going to go. I used to be more sure of it, I thought, but it's just like when you play out the incentives and kind of long-term vision here, I don't know. And so that's just where I am right now. I think it's too early. It's not risky to me for it to send some Bitcoin to lead and get some money back. That's not really risky to me. I'm pretty confident that they're a good solid company. They made it through the last bear market. It's just that 12%, it might as well be a credit card. It's too high. It eats at you.
And it's crazy for me because Sailor put it once up, and I love that chart where it was the loan duration and interest rate of the loan. And he explained the different categories. So if you are a loan duration of under 1 year and over like 15%, you are loan shark. Like there's like horrible rates for that you're getting. And I think he actually said financial genius was the other part of it, where you get under 7. Was it under 5 or under 7? Something like that. I think under 7% was actually his thing. And over 8 years. So like long duration loans that are like multiple Bitcoin cycles, like 2, 3 Bitcoin cycles, and low interest rates. Then you get in this situation where you're like, oh, wow, yeah, like that could be really, really interesting, especially if you're a high convicted Bitcoiner, because like you don't pay a lot for servicing the debt. Right. Make sure you can actually service it. Like even in a worst case situation, you never want to get liquidated. I literally just made a post about that today. Someone on Reddit shared his story how he got liquidated, and I was like, yeah, that's a story that like a lot of people unfortunately share.
Yeah.
So make sure you never get liquidated, even in a 90% drawback of Bitcoin, because I don't think it's likely, but it could happen.
Of course.
And so like if you have that, like it could be very, very valuable. I still don't want to do it. Like I'm still against debt in general. But like it's a tool that you have at your how do you say, disposal, yeah. And you should use it if you need it, or if you want it, or if you think it's like something valuable to do. I choose not to do it.
Yeah, I think that speech you're talking about from Sailor was actually at Vegas. He was talking about that, I believe, anyways. But I remember the one you're talking about, because he was talking about essentially how he took on debt right at the right time when interest rates were really low. So he was kind of in a roundabout way calling himself a financial genius, which I thought was pretty funny.
It was in Prague.
Was it in Prague? Okay.
But I remember that in Vegas also, because I've been there. I try to find it, but like
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was really, really, it was fun.
So that's kind of what, again, Bitcoin I think is a lot of things to a lot of different people, and it's very misunderstood. And that's why I think it's going to be still incredibly volatile for the years ahead, just because of the fact that hardly anybody on this planet actually understands what this asset is at a deep level. Kind of the test that I use for people of whether or not they understand Bitcoin is the difficulty adjustment. If they can explain the difficulty adjustment, one, but more importantly, like why that gives Bitcoin so much value. And so I just feel like that there's such a small percentage of people. I don't know what it would be. Jerry actually did a calculation on his show last night. He thought it'd be less than 0.001% of the population, I believe. And that's kind of what I would assume too. It might be way less than that. So it's like, how do you properly value this asset? So anyways, I see it as very good collateral. I think it's impossible to even compare to Bitcoin in terms of like holding it as a collateral, especially if you are here for the long term. And from both the lender's perspective, like the bank, it's crystal clear to me that all banks are going to want Bitcoin as collateral, not just to have on their reserves, but because of the properties that Bitcoin has with it. And so to me, it's been called pristine collateral. And I think that that's a major understatement for what Bitcoin is. So that's kind of how I'm seeing it in the future. And that's kind of how I'm thinking about it at some point is I do have some Bitcoin set aside, some UTXO set aside that I will lend against in the future. And this is something that people should actually start thinking about right now, even if they're not in a position where they need it or they will short term. But you should start kind of setting up your Bitcoin fund as, you know, your reserve or your stack to align with some of the things that you want to do in the future. And you should start thinking about the size of the UTXOs. Who knows you have it in terms of like where you bought it from, which exchange. Did you buy them from a friend, or is it KYC Bitcoin? But I just think that that's such an important thing for people to be doing right now is developing some sort of strategy and looking at what you have right now, looking at your Bitcoin as your UTXOs, and like, what are you going to do with that in the future? Are you going to lend against this UTXO? Do you want the bank to know that you have this much Bitcoin? At what point, what the price has to be for you to do that? There's so many things that go into this other than just like the the left side of the bell curve, just buying Bitcoin every chance you get. There's a lot of people out there and they just love the conviction videos and the hype videos and stuff like that. But there's so much stuff here behind the hood or underneath the hood that people need to be thinking about right now that they're just simply not, which is, you know, why we're doing this, I think, is to try to help people with that. But between lost keys and privacy concerns and things that people, they don't even know that they're doing wrong right now, will have very negative future implications for them at some point, which I'm trying my best to prevent that. But I'm only one guy with a small channel, so lots there.
I completely messed up my StreamYard. Sorry.
Oh, did you?
Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, like I don't know like what happened.
I'm still here.
Yeah, like you because I wanted to share something and here it is. Perfect. Sorry for the short detour. I wanted to show you this now. I don't know if you have seen this slide from Zeta. I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. This one right here. Yeah. And this is what I was like, this is what most people don't get. Like he is even generous with like 10%. If you have 10% at 10 years, I wouldn't call you financial genius.
Agreed.
But yeah, like at least it's at least it's 10 years. So you will probably be fine if you can service the debt and if you buy Bitcoin with that, because I think over 10 years, Bitcoin will do a lot more than that. I would honestly put it at least like 7% and go under that. And yeah, 10 years is great. Like the duration of like very long runs. I love that he is like financial genius, gambler, loan shark victim, and I don't know what is an endurance.
Indentured servant.
What is even that? I don't even understand that word.
I think that's a politically correct way of saying slave.
That's crazy.
I think that's what they actually used to be called. Like I'm not a historian here, so don't come at me, the actually crowd in the comment section, but I'm pretty sure that's what they used to call people who signed like a 7-year contract to work for somebody. I don't know how it ties in with slavery there, but that's what it was, is indentured servant. So you're basically a slave.
The first thing that every Bitcoiner does, and the most important activity that every Bitcoiner keeps on doing, is buying Bitcoin. And I personally use Relay to buy and sometimes also spend or sell my Bitcoin. And there are two main reasons why I do so. The first one is it's Bitcoin only. They do not do any shit coins. They do not do any cryptos, any stocks or anything else. This is a tool, an app that is fully focused only and solely on Bitcoin. The second one is self-custody. They give you the keys to your Bitcoin the moment you buy them. You never give them the control over your Bitcoin, and you don't have to trust them because you can verify that you and only you have the keys to your Bitcoin. There's no third-party risk. There's no freezing of your assets. There's no rug pulling. There's nothing of that. Download Relay, the app, on your phone, or go to relay.app on your browser and use code Robin to save fees and get cheaper Bitcoin. I want to tell you about something very special to me. It's called micro seed. If you hold your Bitcoin in self-custody, and you should, you know how critical it is to secure your seed phrase. You should not have them on paper. You should not have them on anything else than titanium. With micro seed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups because MicroSeed is not selling the washer. MicroSeed is selling the device that stamps the washer. So you get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today, and you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io.